This is Fueled by Coffee podcast, season finale, part 3 of episode 5, the Peapod Chronicles. I am here with former coworker Mike that I keep in touch with. We're the tag team BMW for many months.
Nick Cave fans.
Nick Cave fans. I found Nick Cave through Mike, which was awesome.
I listened to Ghosting in its entirety yesterday.
Yeah, did you cry?
No. I was actually following along with the lyrics.
Ooh.
I was reading, but then I went, oh, this shit is fucking deep because...
Is it better than Skeleton Tree?
Yes.
Because you told me Skeleton Tree's not really a great...
Well, considering what was going on at the time, you know, it was right when his son had died, and now he's had a couple of years to process it, and that's basically what Ghosting, because for those of you who don't know Nick Cave, fuck you. You should really look into it because I don't know. I've been into music and my whole life, and especially not mainstream things. But this guy just should be considered one of the great songwriters. But his son, a couple of years ago, fell off a cliff. He has twin sons. One fell off a cliff by his house in England, Brighton, England, while he was doing acid, which is not exactly the best thing. But so he did an album then. He was in the process of making it, Nick Cave, and that one I didn't particularly care for. I think part of it was quite a departure, but obviously it would have been because his fucking son died. So this one that came out, Ghosting, is more, now he's been dealing with it. So it's more meditative, and more ethereal, and they did an entire thing of drums on it and took it all out. He said it just didn't work. So it's basically, Warren Ellis. The guy looks, you look kind of like you just shave the top of your head. It's those all that noise that he makes. Yeah, it's kind of like that, and Nick Cave on the piano. And, it's good shit, especially if you follow along at home and listen to the lyrics and realize that this has come about because he had lost a young son, and it's pretty moving. Yeah, it's not the same as No Pussy Blues, but
that was Mike opened my eyes to lots of different music. Being a musician, I was always closed-minded as a child. I was into it was as fast and heavy as you can go, and punk
except
rock.
For Delta Dawn.
Then, well, that's my theme song. When I walk in anywhere, it's see, I can't even fucking whistle. Yeah, I'd be trying to whistle that at work, and I have no dynamic range in my whistle. So I remember one time, Mike just looks at me, and you can't even see it, but he put his hands about 4 inches apart, and he just said, "This is your dynamic range." And for whatever reason, that was one of those moments.
For all you sound guys out there.
I was on the floor, laughing, crying, laughing. So on every time I'd try and whistle a tune, Mike would do the hands, and I wouldn't be able to finish whistling because I'd be laughing so hard. But yeah, Nick Cave, he opened my eyes up to Nick Cave. One day out of nowhere, he just sends me No Pussy Blues, which was Nick Cave's side project called Grinder Man.
Yeah, man, I'd always gone to concerts. I saw Kiss in, I believe, 1974 at the Lansing Ice Arena, which was just a skating rink, indoor skating rink, and they threw the fucking wood over the ice, and we just stood around like the people next to me were smoking weed and had a bottle of wine, and then they're shooting their pyrotechnics off, and I thought they're going to light the place on fire, which at the time I thought was cool. Then Great White actually did it and killed people, so it probably wouldn't have worked out so well, but at the time it seemed really so I've always been into that. And then there was a lull, and I didn't really go anywhere and didn't really see anybody, and then I was a fan of the Pogues because my mindset at the time, I used to have what I considered not a drinking problem, but it was. You talk about not giving a fuck. Now I realize that there's specific things in life that are worth thinking about. Yeah. And that's mostly none of it because there's friends, family, if you're lucky enough to have a family you don't fucking hate. And trying to be whatever you set up or whatever your belief system sets up to be a unscrote good person. So at the time, though, I don't know what the fuck. I really must have been real unhappy with who I was. So I was into the Pogues, and their front man, Shane MacGowan, who was I have to say was, because he's not shit anymore. He was a fantastic songwriter. Mm-hmm. But you'd go to these shows. He got kicked out of the Pogues in '91 after a tour in Japan. And then he had his own band, which made it even worse, because then there was no one in charge of Shane MacGowan. So he would I went to one show in Philly.
I hope this is the story I'm thinking about.
I went to a show in Philly. The one where he pissed in the cup, that's a different one.
No, not that one.
We went to a show, me and Dog Boy. And we had copious amounts of cocaine, and which the next we were staying in a bed and breakfast by the TLA, and the next day we were in our underwear doing lines and drinking beer while they were serving breakfast right outside our door. And we were giggling. So yeah, the lady was pretty happy when we checked out.
Jeez.
But we were at a bar right next door to the TLA, and we knew that there's no way Shane was going to go on this tour. He had basically blown off all of Canada.
Wow.
And then on the West Coast, he picked a couple spots. I think he blew off Seattle as well. Played in California, played in Texas, disappeared again. And I had known people that I'd met at a Shane concert, and he said that they said in New York they were hanging out with him because there was a bar by where they lived in Astoria that he liked. And he was just there getting drunk as shit and picking the cheese off pizza and eating it. They had non-refundable plane tickets for his show and tickets for his show in Chicago. He went. I mean, they went. He didn't go. He just stayed in Astoria and ate cheese off pizza and was wasted. So he went to the TLA. We're at the bar next door. The band comes in. And I'm like, all right, we should probably get going because the band's here getting ready. Whatever's going on next door. We get there. And lights, the opening act goes down. We wait 45 minutes, an hour. And then the band comes out. Guy comes up from the band. The big fella didn't make it. Do you want us to play some? Do you mind? Fucking 1/3 of the place leaves. House lights come up. People walk out.
Wow.
Second number. Guy comes back up. He's here. Shane MacGowan comes running out of the side. And then it was just fucking mayhem.
Wow. Was that the time that he was so drunk he couldn't light his own cigarette?
That was most of the show.
Because I was going to say, I thought that was the story you were going to tell.
Well, that was that. For most of the time that I think I went to 5 Pope shows. Pope's shows. That was his band, was the Popes. He couldn't light his own cigarette. So it would burn down, and his manager, Joey Cashman, would have to come out and scream in his face, holding a cigarette there, because Shane would just stop what he was doing. He always had a cup, a red party cup of whatever he was drinking at the time, which sometimes was straight up martini, vermouth, and other times was God only knows what, and he'd have a cigarette. And if the cigarette went out, the band had to keep going, but he would just stop and they'd come up. So he comes out, and so anyway, this is a digression into the Popes, but just as a quick sidebar, Dog Boy at some point, another digression, I had a little packet of cocaine and a little straw, and I went up to the back and tried to get into the bathroom, but the bathroom was so full of dudes that the door wouldn't even close. Oh, God. And I could just look inside. It looked like a fucking mosh pit in there. So I went, not going to do it there. And I circled around at the TLA. There's a jetty that comes out on the left side, and that's where we were.
Right.
So I went up and I went, fuck. Like anyone, and everywhere was just like, it was like a blizzard of cups from people drinking beer.
Okay.
Piled in the corners and everywhere. And I went, who the fuck is going to care if I do my coke here?
Right.
No one. So I pulled the packet out, and then when I pull it out of my pocket, the little cut off straw flips out and disappears on the floor. which I don't care. I pulled cocaine out of a toilet.
Well, I've seen Mike eat things off of the dirty floors at Peapod, so that doesn't surprise me.
Strengthens the immune system. But I couldn't find it. So basically, I just opened the packet, snorted it, and then waited a bit longer. And then I turned around, and Dog Boy's there with a woman. And he goes, "This is so-and-so. We didn't come with any women." And I go, "Hey." And she goes, first question, which I fucking hate. She goes, "So what do you do?" I fucking hate that. You know what? I don't really care what you do. I care who you are. I don't give a shit. I mean, if you can tell me what you do and put it in an interesting way,
pull a DFW, and
that's fine. Yeah. But the first question, you're going to judge me? And I said, "Oh, I'm the backup Zamboni driver at the Spectrum." And she looked at me, and I could tell she was trying to, is this guy for real or what? I go, "Yeah, what I do is if like the regular guy's on vacation, and I do a lot of adult leagues late at night, and I could see her like, oh yeah, this guy's for real." And I go, "You know that thing that we do where we go around and like I leave that last little bit and then come around and get it?" And she's like, "Yeah." I go, "That's cool, isn't it?" She goes, "Yeah." I turn my back. I go, "What a fucking idiot."
Yeah, that's a really good way to live your life. That's what I've been trying to do recently, is not judge people for what they do, but who they are. Does it matter? Who they are as a person and what they can contribute to the world.
What does it matter?
Yeah.
They could be a special education teacher, which should make them a great person. They might be a fucking asshole.
Yep.
They might work in a car wash.
Yeah.
and be someone great. But anyway, so I was a big fan of Shane MacGowan and the Popes. So then he got together with the Pogues. And there was a guy that I had met through someone else in my bartending. And I said, "Look," his name was Nick as well. I go, I said, "The Popes are getting together. Do you want to go?" I said, "It's going to be in fucking New York, and it's going to be in Times Square, and it's going to be on Patty's Day." And he's like, "I'm in." It was a fucking astonishing show.
For those who don't know, Shane MacGowan is Irish, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's why it's a big deal. St. Patty's Day,
yeah.
Irish.
Well, if you don't know who the Pogues are, you should really look it up. Because if you know,
they're great.
Stiff Little Fingers, Dropkick Murphys, Flogging Molly, they all ripped off the Pogues as far as I'm concerned, or were inspired by them.
Yeah.
So anyway, we went to that show, and basically nobody would get near Shane on stage because they know better. They would actually, he'd turn and look at one of them, and they'd kind of back up and go away. So we went to that, and then Nick, I was bartending again. He goes, "Do you want to go see Nick Cave?" And I'm like, I don't really know Nick Cave. I had his Murder Ballads album, which is all songs about killing.
Is that the one that O'Malley's Bar was on?
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal. It's like 15 minutes long. Highly recommend. Go listen to O'Malley's Bar by Nick Cave.
And listen to it.
Yeah, listen to it.
Don't just be, flipping through your Insta or whatever.
No, listen to it.
Speaking of Instagram, I'm on Living Large and Hard on Instagram if you want to follow along.
This is Mike's plug.
But, I was driving through this blizzard in Michigan, going to visit family, and that came on, and I was just me trying to get through this situation and really listening to it. And I went, "Fuck, this is freaking me out." And that says a lot.
Yeah.
Except normal people freak me out because I don't understand those choices. Why would you live your life that way? Why would you be bored? Why would you be in the status quo and in the middle when there's so much other shit on the left and the right? Anyway, so Nick goes, "You want to go see Nick Cave?" I'm like, "Eh." He goes, "Dude, it's Grinder Man." I go, "I don't even know what that is."
Yeah.
He goes, It's going to be Nick Cave, stripped down." I went, "Wait a minute." And I thought there's this guy that I knew, and he was a big Nick Cave fan. I went, "Yeah, I'll go check it out." So, go to New York. It was a time Nokia Theater. You went downstairs, same place that I saw the Pogues reunion, and the opening act was this little effeminate dude who played the theremin over an easy listening CD of classical music, and I went, "What the fuck am I into?" What is coming? What is this Nick Cave?
This is a great story. I've heard this one.
What is this fucking Nick Cave dude? Because Nick Cave and I are the same age. And sadly, again, normal people, when you get to be my age, in your 60s, you give up. You don't give a fuck.
Yep.
You stick to the past. These people that I hate fucking classic rock. which people seem offended by that. Like, oh, Doobie Brothers. Fuck classic rock.
It's funny. There's people my age who, like, on dating apps and stuff, that's their selling point. I love classic rock. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever.
You know what? I heard it when it was on the radio, and I heard it way more than I needed to.
Yeah.
It was just the shit that was on the radio. And it's anyway, if that's the best time of your life, just fucking kill yourself. Why do you keep looking back?
Just jump right to the point.
Just quit looking back.
Yeah.
I have no sense of nostalgia. Mm-hmm. What's coming? This has been a great fucking year for me.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Iceland for fucking Memorial Day weekend.
Yep. You go to Atlantic City frequently.
Yeah, we're going there again a little bit. We went to Toronto for Labor Day weekend. We went to Paris. We went to London. We're always doing shit.
Yeah.
Do I look back and go, that's it. This is the best year of my life. Now I'm going to sit here and look back at it.
Nope.
Fuck no.
Whenever I ask Mike what he's up to, he's like, well, I'm going here, I did this, I did that, I got this new job I'm doing. And it's great listening to, like, you ask Mike, what have you been up to? Well, he could have a podcast episode just talking about what he's done the last month, you know?
We're coming up to see our favorite holiday show, which is the Drag King, Murray Hill.
That's right. This is Mike's yearly tradition.
Great. Yep. And we've thrown in a drag queen at the end of the month as well.
So
that's a new one. But anyway, so we go there. I go, oh my God, I didn't really look into it, which I just went on Nick's say-so.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what this Nick Cave dude's going to look like. I don't know if he's going to be like The Who that I walked out of in the 80s, because all they were doing, they were already a nostalgia act for themselves. Mm-hmm. They were fucking lame. Unlike the Rolling Stones, which I saw in the 80s as well, and I loved, and I just saw them with her for their 50th anniversary tour.
Yeah.
But anyway, they still brought it. They still killed it. So Nick Cave, so the theremin dude's done, and he's gone. And then the stage goes, and I'm like, all right. And then it starts, and it fucking kicks in, and out comes Nick Cave, fucking rail thin, 6'2", raven black hair.
Handlebar mustache.
Not at that point. He'd already gotten rid of that.
The famous scene of Grinder Man that I remember, Mike sent me his video for this song, No Pussy Blues, him performing this song, which is way better live than on recording.
Yes.
And he's got this handlebar mustache. Yes. And I remember thinking, what the fuck is this shit? And then he starts, I didn't get it. It wasn't until I listened to this song about 3 or 4 or 5 times that I was like, wow. And now I go back and I'm like, wow, that's phenomenal.
Yep. He's lamenting being an old guy.
Yep.
And the young chicks will have nothing to do with him.
We've recommended O'Malley's Bar already. We've recommended.
That's Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. And then for Grinder Man, No Pussy Blues is the top.
Yeah. It's just phenomenal musically, and there's a live video of it, and I think it's like the first video that'll pop up, so I recommend. Yeah. The thumbnail is him with his handlebar mustache.
Yeah, if you put No Pussy Blues live.
If you come across that thumbnail, that's it.
It's a fucking slamming rendition. So anyway, and out comes Nick Cave, and I'm like, all right, cool. And this is going to be, he hasn't given up.
Yep.
And then they kicked it in, and it was just 4 motherfuckers, drummer, bass, and then Warren Ellis, who's a lunatic on fucking synths, and like not even a synthesizer. He plays it, whatever that little thing is. You ever see it? He just like twisting the knobs.
No, I've seen him.
It's like a distortion box.
He has like an electric mandolin that he plays like a guitar,
and he shoots the fucking bows at the backdrop. Anyway, so it's 4 guys. Everything except the drums is fucking on distortion level 15 on a scale of 3. So they come out and this thing starts, and I thought I was gonna fucking puke.
Yeah,
it was great. And then I was with this. I could do a podcast on this woman, even though it was only a couple months.
I'm sure you'll be back on for another episode.
She grabs my arm and looks at me and screams, "I've got to go!" And we're in New York City, and I'm thinking, somehow this bitch is going to figure out how to get back to Allentown.
Yeah. And
I'm okay with that, because this is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
So that one, I got done with that, and Nick goes, "What'd you think?" I go, why the fuck am I not going to concerts?
Yeah.
To be fucking transported like that. I called it music to run through walls to.
Yeah.
And then I found Golgo Bordello, the gypsy punk band.
You sent me that.
Fuck yeah, we're going to see them again. And I mean, at Music Fest, we saw Red Barat.
You sent me them.
Indian Rhythms, but a funk, like a brass funk thing over Indian Rhythms, and they fucking killed. I paid to see them And they didn't put on as good a show as they put on for free at Music Fest. Chick, Chick, Chick. This fucking white boy dance band with this crazy, it looks like Michael Cera. First time I thought, what the fuck is Michael Cera doing with this band? And it comes out, and it's just this endless dance beat and fucking around. Like the guy went to the tables in the tent at Music Fest, went all the way to the back corner, and he's dancing down the fucking table, and shit like that. Killed it, stuff like that. And I'll go see, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like we saw the Coat Hangers.
Yeah.
Named after the abortion procedure. This punk chick trio. They were fucking awesome.
Yeah. Taco Cat you saw recently.
Taco Cat, man, they came
I looked them up. They were awesome. On Bandcamp, great.
Yep. Anytime it'll pop up, KEXP. I love KEXP. Everyone should listen. If you're into alternative music, what used to be called alternative, now it's called independently, whatever the fuck. Great station. That's what I listen to all the time. I found Taco Cat there, the Coat Hangers. But they might play Nina Simone.
Gotcha.
They might play, I don't know what they're going to play. But yeah, anytime I stream that when I'm driving around, and if Taco Cat comes on, man, crank that shit.
Damn.
So anyway, I don't know how that fucking ended up there. But
we were talking about Nick Cave, how you got me into Nick Cave working at Peapod. Yeah, Mike, so he sent me No Pussy Blues, the Grinder Man song. And from there, he lent me 10,000 Days on Earth, which is a Nick Cave movie.
20,000.
Is it 20,000? I thought it was 10,000.
No, it's 20.
Okay, 20,000 Days on Earth.
I was there when they did the Q&A with the directors in New York City at Town Hall, which was a fantastic weekend, by the way, because it must have been 2012. God, was it that long ago? It was whenever gay marriage was ratified.
2015.
15? Oh, that makes more sense. So yeah, we popped into the Gay Pride Parade. Mm-hmm. Then we went to see Nick Cave at Town Hall. They showed the documentary, which is the best music documentary I know about because it mentions nothing about the creative process. Yeah. And it's all bullshit, but it's true as hell. So then we went to see that, and then Nick Cave was there doing a Q&A and playing songs. And the next day we went whale watching. Yeah. At New York.
Nice. So he lends me 20,000 Days on Earth. Great movie. In that movie, there's the scene with the children's choir singing Jubilee Street.
Yes.
And from there,
the Sydney Opera House.
I started following Nick Cave on Instagram at this point, and I saw that there were other musicians that I followed, like Matt Skiba. He plays guitar and sings for Alkaline Trio, who's like a horror punk kind of band, and Blink-182. And he follows Nick Cave, and I thought, how have I never heard of Nick Cave before?
Most people haven't.
And then that's when they were putting out the Lovely Creatures, like greatest hits, like DVD and book. Yep. And so like watching that trailer and hearing there's like a clip of We Know Who You Are and Jubilee Street, and I was like, man, this shit sounds cool. So then I started listening to Nick Cave, and that's how I got into Push the Sky Away.
Push the Sky Away.
Push the Sky Away is the first Nick Cave album I listened to in full, and it blew me away. I remember I used to fall asleep to that album because it's just so like you can just tune out to it. And I remember I'd wake up in the middle of some of the songs and be like, "What the fuck's going on?" Like,
you felt like the weird sounds and the landscapes that he paints with his fucking odd words.
And that's the thing. I remember one of my ex-girlfriends that I was with at the time, I got her into Nick Cave. At first she was like, I don't really like this. I don't know. And then she said the one day, she's like, can you burn me that Nick Cave album you have? I said, oh, so now you're a fan? She said, yeah, I was listening to it and he's just such a great storyteller. And I said, no shit. That's exactly why he's so good. Because if you just listen to him, he just, like Mike said, he just paints landscapes with obscure words, and he just is so descriptive, so vivid, the way that he...
even if it makes no sense.
It's phenomenal.
There's things that
There's one line on that album where he says, it was like something like, you were a catch, we were a match, I was the match that fired up your snatch, or something like that, and you're like... what? And then he starts singing about mermaids. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's just phenomenal. Recommend, again, Nick Cave, Push the Sky Away. Phenomenal. It'll blow your mind. If you have an appreciation for music.
Yes.
Not if you're just a casual listener. No, like, if you appreciate music and production and, songwriting, you will appreciate this album.
Hopefully, because now he's going to be touring Europe because of the new album. And I will pay, again, I will offer to pay your fucking way to go see it. and we will stand in as close to the first row as we can, because that's where the show is.
Yeah.
There's no point in being there. Well, last time was at the Barclays Center last year, whatever the fuck it was. There's no point in being in the back, because he's there interacting with those first 4 or 5 rows. And
another great clip of that, Jubilee Street Live in like Austin, Texas or something like that.
There's a good one from Austin City Limits.
That's what it was. Yeah. Austin City Limits, Jubilee Street Live, another video I recommend that shows his fan interaction.
There's people that cry.
Yep.
I used to stand there with this fucking crazy grin on my face and actually reach out to touch the hem of the Lord when he's up there. It is, and the one time during Stagger Lee, there's this part where he screams, yeah, 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 yeah. And he was right there. It was one of the 3 of the 5 best concerts in my life.
Yeah.
No, 2 of the 5 best are Nick Cave shows.
Wow.
Yeah. And the one was at Barclays Center, because I don't know what his deal was, but he kept smacking the microphone stand over. He was dropping to his knees. He was
all
possessed.
Yeah.
And then he cried.
What? I never heard that one.
He fucking cried. He comes out, there's a camera stand, and he goes up on there, and he gets the whole crowd to clap along. Stop. And then he does that, and then he's coming back to where he's going to get on the stage, and he sees me, and he walks over, and with both fists punches me in the chest. I could not have been happier. I'm getting an erection now thinking about it. He fucking just, for no fucking reason. I mean, I could have kicked the scrawny fucker's ass, but it was fucking great. And then he goes on stage, and all these people know that that's when you can go on stage. And they let basically a zillion people up on stage.
Yeah.
And there was this young kid, teenage boy, and he turned and looked, and he goes, you know you made this happen. And he started crying.
Wow.
And I told Mary, my fantastic girlfriend, I said, that is because of his son.
Wow.
Because he lost his son.
That's incredible.
So he stopped, he cried a little bit, and wiped it, and then he was back, you know.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So
that was one of them, and the other one was in Brooklyn, where he screamed in my face, and at one point was laying across us, and like the cord was wrapped around my arm, which was being pulled down because he was laying on top of the crowd and cutting the circulation off.
Yeah, Nick Cave he's an animal. As a listener of music and as someone who appreciates music, Nick Cave is phenomenal. And I don't know why he's not. I mean, he's pretty huge. Like, once you get into his little universe, it's like he's pretty big.
His fans are fanatical.
Yeah.
And once you know, the 3 of you that are listening to this, other than us 2.
Yeah.
Once you've heard the name Nick Cave, then you will hear the name Nick Cave bannered about by musicians.
Yeah, absolutely.
You will hear it, and you'll go, oh, that's that guy they talked about. Maybe I should see No Pussy Blues.
And it's really funny because when you got me into Nick Cave, like a couple weeks after that, or maybe it was a couple weeks after I bought Push the Sky Away, I was going to a record store with my friend Jack, who was on episode 3, and he was like, hey, like, I was talking to some guy the other day, and, you know, have you ever heard of Nick Cave? Bend the universe. We're going to talk about bending the universe in a few minutes, but I was like, yeah, I just got into Nick Cave. He's fucking phenomenal. So and it's just, as you said, then all of a sudden it's like just going around, and I'm showing people, and people are like, hey, Nick Cave, yeah. So
yeah, Amish hardcore, same way. He goes,
the birthday party.
People are talking about Nick Cave, and birthday party, which was Nick Cave when he was young.
I didn't understand that till recently. When I first looked it up, I was like, and then I looked it up a couple months ago.
You look how far back that was, and what he was doing.
Looking it up now, I'm like, whoa! Again, another moment my mind was blown, but not as much as the Bad Seeds.
Yeah, and when you do go next time he tours, because you are going, I'll pay you for your day off too. You fucking dickweed. when you hear the Bad Seeds live. It's just, they're so, I mean, they've been doing it for fucking ever, 30 some years, but they're so tight. The drummer, their keyboard, regular keyboard player for a long time, died before the last tour.
Right.
They had some young dude in there, like nothing. And then he will go, and because he's interacting with the audience, they have to make the music work around that.
Yeah.
but it looks like they're not even fucking looking at what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
they just like know what they're doing.
But it looks like they're never paying attention to him, what he's doing up there.
Yeah.
But they have to be, because they know they got to keep going and going and going until the point where whatever he's doing up there is done.
Yeah. It's great.
Phenomenal.
So I just mentioned bending the universe.
Yeah, a little term I came up with.
It's something that happened a lot at Peapod.
You spell it with a capital B, a capital E, a capital E, and a capital D.
And Mike was notorious for bending the universe. And the more I hung around Mike, the more I worked around Mike, I gained the ability to bend the universe. And a lot of times it's really small, small.
Well, you start
tasks.
small, you know.
Like, I don't know. You think of someone, and then a day later they text you. Like someone, like that happened to me recently. I was thinking of Amish hardcore, and all of a sudden he texts me, a couple months ago, and I'm like, no shit,
dude. It just fucking happened to me. We were sitting at the counter in the kitchen here at the Skybox, Mary and I mentioned someone, and I go, well, I guess they don't give a fuck about going to Phantoms games. Cause I said, I got tickets, and I took them to their first hockey game and all this. And he's like, oh, we got to do this, and I go, well, fuck him, because and the phone goes bloop, and I go, holy fuck. And then she goes, what? I go, it's the Candyman. Yeah. She goes, no way. And I go, yep. It was within minutes. He fucking texted me after months.
Yeah. And it'll be small things like that. But then I think the biggest one for me by far, you've probably had larger bends. Mike and I, so we both left Peapod in August of 2018. We saw each other maybe once between then and, a couple of weeks ago. And, we would text from time to time. And then over the summer, I'd been thinking about Mike. I was like, man, I haven't seen him in a while, or I haven't heard from him in a while. And Mike used to work for Jack Lair, which is an HVAC company. My sister lives in Emmaus, so I was driving to her house. And I'm driving down Emmaus Avenue, and all of a sudden, sitting in the parking lot, waiting to turn out onto Mason Avenue, there's Mike in his BMW. Yep. It couldn't have happened any better.
Flipped each other off.
I rolled the window down and yelled, "Fuck you!" And we flipped each other off. I
went chasing you, actually.
Did you really?
I didn't know where you were headed. I'm like, I gotta catch this motherfucker.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's just crazy. Bending the universe. It's once you hang out with someone enough who can do it, then you start doing it. You know who does it now? My brother-in-law, Sean. Yeah. Because I told him, oh yeah, bending the universe, and it's like, it's an inside joke at first, and then he'll, he bends the universe now.
The thing is, you can't do it intentionally.
Yeah, and
if you go, I'm going to get winning the lottery thing, I'm going to bend the universe. No. Nah,
it's never usually big things like that. It's usually just small, trivial things like we just talked about. But yeah, so bending, it's just crazy. I don't know. And it's funny because I told someone about it. I went on a really shitty coffee date with someone a couple weeks ago, and I said,
really? Well, that's why it was shitty. You talk about bending the universe, and I'm going to bend your fucking lame ass out of here. You're probably thinking.
And I said, oh yeah, it's because I can bend the universe. And she's like, that doesn't happen. That's not real. And I said, yeah, it does. I said, I mean, it's an inside joke, but yeah, it does. Once you start, and she was like, no, that doesn't happen. Okay, well, you're gone. Goodbye with your 632 calorie latte.
Yeah, my thankfully dead fucking brother.
Oof.
He had a girlfriend, and we were having some discussion in a bar, and I said something about, man, you should just, life's too fucked up. Here's something I tell people all the time, especially younger people.
So listen up to the two people.
Or don't. I don't give a fuck. But because you really start to feel it as time goes on, it accelerates. But anyway, the thing is, however much time you have left in your life, it's not fucking long enough.
Yeah.
It just isn't. So I think it wasn't quite on that level, but it was something like, go and just have fun.
Yeah.
And this chick goes, my thankfully dead fucking brother, his girlfriend goes, oh, there's more to life than that. And he saw the look on my face, and he was behind her doing the cut thing.
Yeah.
No, don't. I go, yeah, so what the fuck is so important?
Yeah.
Other than having a good time in life. And so it, from there, quickly I don't think she was around long after that.
Yeah, bending the universe. Crazy how that shit works. So
or not.
Or not. I mean, people, you can be amused, you cannot be amused. Again, this is I don't believe there in any supernatural power or overarching power, or I believe that when you're dead, you're fucking dead,
One of the things that I heard, it was from the Scandinavian countries, which they're notoriously atheistic.
Yeah.
And someone said, well, what about when you die? What happens then? And the guy said, well, what was it like before you were born? I don't know. Yeah, like that. That's the way I look at it. It's here and it's now.
Yeah.
There's nothing in play. You can't really bend the universe. It's just that as your, I was going to say consciousness, as your awareness, which is way better word,
Yeah.
consciousness has this whole overlay of, now I'm going to make that cup fucking spin left like a pigeon.
Yeah.
Then you just start to notice shit.
Yeah.
It's basically what it is.
And yeah, it's almost like, one of those, when people say, how when females are around each other too long, their periods sync up. It's like when Mike the longer Mike and I are around each other,
our erections sync up.
Yeah, and that's what's bending. It's not the universe. Our boners,
our Hanes.
They just bend a little.
Yeah. We're bending boners, not the universe.
Bending boners, new trademark.
Yeah, bending boners, not the universe.
So
coming to a grade school near you.
I want to wrap this finale up. We're going to do a speed round of Peapod terms that we didn't quite get to. Todd's Head Island.
Yes, Hemorrhoid Beach, which is prominently on Todd's Head Island.
It's a vacation spot.
It is.
And the crabs taste like shit.
That was because the place smelled like shit one day. Peapod, right?
Yeah.
Literally smelled like shit.
And Todd has such a large head. That
we mentioned Amish hardcore.
Yeah. Amish hardcore.
Yeah, very prominent head.
Shower Boy Land.
Yes, the amusement park based upon the Shower Boys of D Block, which was going to be Terry Hill Water Park.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the money.
Yeah. And we have all sorts of IPs, and there's all sorts of shit that goes along with that. Lather Boys. Do you remember the Lather Boys?
No.
It was the knockoff. It was after Yoko broke up the Shower Boys. And then it was after I left the Shower. That was the whole thing. If I left the Shower Boys, I was going to go be in the Lather Boys, which was the rip-off side project. The Glove
with
of
more
Love.
dancing. Yeah, the Glove of Love.
Glove of Love.
That was a whole game.
Yeah.
Glove is Bip.
Glove is Oos. Or no, Oos was out of stock. Out of play, sucker. That's what it was. Bip was back in play.
Back in play.
Oops was out of play, sucker. The Glove of Love started real quick. They basically gave us gloves to handle dry ice, and mine I would put on to handle the dry ice, and then a lot of the time I left them on while I was picking and chilled. Over time, mine grew saturated with chicken juices and iced tea,
gel blood,
and they just got
they're disgusting,
crusty. Yeah. And Mike said, "Oh, Mike," because Mike came down to, he's like, "Oh, can I have a glove? Someone I need to handle dry ice." And he puts mine, and he goes, "Oh my god, this
like, what are you jerking off walruses with or something like that?"
Crusty. So the Glove of Love, and then we would take these said gloves and we would hide them around the chill dial. So a lot of times we'd put them on cucumbers, or I remember one time I stuffed it on a tube of dog food, or Clownser would, hide them in the milk, and it became a game between like half a dozen of us of finding
glove
the glove. Jesus at the Tiki Bar.
Yeah, I actually have the lyrics to that if you want me to do it now.
Yeah.
Would you? I can do that.
It's up to you. It's a song that Mike came up with. I don't remember how we came up with it.
I just came up with it because it was
just
like
for
the same
fun.
way you came up with Deli 5 and I'd jump on a milk crate.
Deli 5. Holy shit. How did we forget about that?
No, I didn't forget it.
Deli 5 was it late 90s or early 90s?
Early 80s
rap group.
Yes, it was like a novelty rap group because we were white.
Yeah.
Because what would happen, there was an automated voice that would come over and it would say, "Deli, order 5 is ready."
For pickup.
And I said, "Deli 5. We're Deli 5. We're Deli 5. We're Deli 5. We're motherfucking jive." And I would do that. And then there was this Kid Crayola KC.
Kid Crayola.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Kid Crayola, this very nice woman. And then I came up and I go, KC, remember we were back in Deli 5 back in the day, back in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
And we had that whole thing. And so that became a whole fucking thing. It's not urgent. Thanks to your stuttering.
I was gonna say it came off of me stuttering. When I am uncomfortable in a situation when I'm just not, I guess, I don't know, settled in, I will stutter, or sometimes I will talk faster than I can think, and then I stutter. And I was saying it's because I think I was trying to say it's not urgent, and sometimes it's not
urgent. Healthcare for all. It's not urgent. Equality for all.
So, Yeah, so there was Mike would just come up with tunes and songs and jingles.
And forget them completely.
And again, that's why he had the amanuenses.
Yep.
To remember these things, this is how we got through our
Matt
days.
323 and DJ Morgan would usually remember between the two of them everything.
Okay. So I guess this is going to be a twofer right here. Produce Pig was a character that I...
Produce Puss.
I think it was Pig for a while, too.
Yeah, it didn't matter. It was lame.
Yeah, it was because I cannot do accents for the life of me. Irish, British, Southern, no matter what I try and do, it's all awful. And I'll do the one thing I can do well is a speech impediment. And the one whenever I'd get down to, for whatever reason, the Honeycrisp apples, and I'd be Honeycrisp apples, and Mike would be yelling, "Fuck!"
I'm putting my fingers in my ears, no, because I hated the sound.
Yeah, and so I would just do it because it would piss Mike off, and then he'd be down like the other end of the aisle yelling, "Fuck you!"
That was one day I just went, "Fuck you!"
And so Produce Pig or Produce Puss, whatever he was, that was usually a daily thing, along with my poor accents. And Mike was like, "What the fuck is this? Some sort of like Pacific Islander?" And I was like, "No, it's British." He's like, "That's not fucking British." No. Getting quadded.
Yeah. So when I worked the pivot, people would come down. They'd finish with their shop. They'd drop a full cannon, which was the big cart, 6 feet high, 3 racks, 6 feet 6 long, and sometimes. And what I'd have to do is have another one set up so they could go right back out. Hence the pivot. They'd come in from my left, their right, and then head back up the other way, up the frozen aisle. So occasionally, 4 would show up at once, which means my goal was to pull all 8 totes off in 30 seconds, which never really happened. But I could do it in definitely less than a minute. And then that would put me low on carts. So getting quadded, usually I would just laugh because what the fuck else are you going to do about it? And sometimes I'd get quinted 5 people at once. And it would just be the point. It just became, I don't know if anyone knows about the myth of Sisyphus.
I have no idea.
Well, I can't remember what Sisyphus did. I think he was one of the Titans, which were the children of the gods, and they pissed people off. You know about Prometheus gave fire to the humans, so he got chained to a rock, and then every day a vulture would come and eat his liver.
Okay.
And so Sisyphus had to push this rock up a mountain. And as soon as he got to the top, it would go back down.
Right.
So there's a term called a Sisyphean task, and that's what that is. And then someone wrote, was it Camus, one of the existentialists? Okay. It was either Camus or whatever. He said that he called it the myth of Sisyphus. And what he said was that in his mind, Sisyphus would get to the top of the mountain, and in that moment when that boulder that he'd struggled to get to the top was perched there before it rolled down the other side, that was his moment of triumph. Okay. So when I would find myself in situations like getting quinted, that became my moment to become Sisyphus and go, this is what I asked for. Yeah. Fuck it, bring it on. Bring me 5 more of those motherfuckers. This is the only reason I showed up. Yeah. The only reason I'm here is to get fucked in the ass like this.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out which one. I guess, so we got 2 left. French toast.
Okay, if you were at, Jesus, was that episode 1 when we went over the nicknames? Yeah. Terry the Pterodactyl, crusty old woman. And at one point, we were discussing her vagina for some reason. I'm not really sure why that would happen, but stranger things have happened.
I think it was when one of us was in Frozen and someone about those Eggo French toast, frozen French, and I said something about French toast.
You said it was the other way around.
Because it's dried up, and you said something about it being like an old pussy or something like that.
Okay, that's what it was.
Dripping with like Terry's pussy. The acid owl.
Yeah. So that was the other way around.
So French toast.
Somehow we ended up on her vagina, not literally, which would be like fucking French toast.
So there's French toast, and then the last thing that I know we can elaborate on, and this will be a great way to go out with a bang, Chick Tracks.
Yeah. So when I had my house in the hood in Allentown, downtown, it was right downtown. I really enjoyed living in the hood. I loved the sense of community. I loved the diversity. There was, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans. There was blacks. There was gays, there was lesbians, and we were all on, that was just my block. But around the corner was a church, Reverend Pastor Bob. And one day I went out and I was doing something, and on my door rubber band to my door in classic Chick tract style was a Chick tract. And these are little pamphlets that, if you look at my Instagram and go back a while, Living Large and Hard, you will see that I saw people on the subway in New York City reading Chick tracts.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my Lord.
And also digression. Did I ever tell you about the guy I saw reading Infinite Jest on the subway?
No. So Infinite Jest is by an author named David Foster Wallace, who is another great literary human that he got me into. But Infinite Jest is one of his novels, and it's extremely long, and from what I've heard, it's a very, very high Lexile level read. Or it's just difficult to follow.
Well, what you have to realize that over 200 pages are footnotes, and some of the footnotes have footnotes.
Right.
You have to do that. So anyway, and I highly recommend it. At one point, in one of my micro retirements, I read the entire book twice in a row.
Wow.
The first chapter, which I didn't realize the first time I read it, is actually the last chapter.
Interesting.
So I started with the second chapter, read all 1,100 pages, and read it all again. And there was things that I found in there that I was like, oh my God, how did I not fucking know that this was relating to that? How did I not know this? I mean, you have to have a dictionary app, or you just... And then you realize that there's words that he just made up, David Foster Wallace, that are so fucking clever. And the whole thing, he wrote it when he was in his 20s.
Right.
And it's just so dense with genius. But anyway, I'm on the subway, and I never sit really on the subway. So I'm standing there, and I look like halfway up the car, and there's a guy reading, and the book is the right thickness. I just noticed that first. That's a thick book. And then I see him flip to the back. And flip to the back to where he was. And flip to the back. I go, fuck, that's Infinite Jest. I go, that's Infinite fucking Jest. So I sauntered up, get near my stop. I go, first time reading it? Yeah. I go, stick with it, man. It's fucking great. And he goes, that's what everybody tells me.
Yeah.
Do it, dude.
It's awesome. So,
but that's not on Living Large and Hard. That was before my Instagram account.
Chick tracts are based.
So
go back.
So yeah, they're just this fucking whack ass. I mean, it's from a very, I guess, fundamentalist branch of Christianity, where the only way you get into heaven is to accept Christ. So no matter what you've done in your life, like if Hitler, before he lit himself on fire in the bunker, at the end there, if he would have said, "Hey, I accept Jesus into my heart," and blah 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 blah, he would have, all right, come on up.
But it's one of those things too where it's so extreme.
Yeah, it's way out there.
If you say you were someone who is maybe looking to dabble in Christianity, and because that's how I've been brought up my whole life, I would consider myself to be a Christian. That's the belief system that I grew up with. For someone who hasn't been brought up and they're just curious, and if that's their first, like say that's rubber banded to their door like it was for you, and they look inside, they're gonna say this is fucking whack, and they're gonna, because it's basically just hell. It's like a very Baptist way of thinking.
What happens in a lot of these is that what would be considered the good guy who does all this fantastic stuff, he does not accept Christ, so he goes straight to fucking hell afterwards. And this guy that I think it might have been the very first one, this arsonist set a building on fire, and the fireman fucking dies, and I turn the page and he goes to hell, and I go, what is happening here? And at the end of the thing, the arsonist goes, oh, by the way, hey, let me up there, robe guy. And he's like, yeah, cool, come on up. You only killed someone, it's no big deal.
They're just very, very harsh reads. And
so I became an aficionado. I would actually snag one's issues that I didn't have off other people's doors,
and he'd bring him into work. And I remember he gave me one. I think I still have it. It was called The Choice.
That's the classic.
And and it was one of those things where I kept it, and Chick Tracts Mike had an ad, or it was like an ordering sheet. He was going to order like a bundle of them.
I got them finally.
Did you?
Yeah.
And so
200 of them or something like that.
Hung up by the checkered tote was this order sheet. And
which takes us to the Sissy.
The Sissy. It was it's a Chick tract, and they also animated it.
Yeah. But
it's very poorly animated. This is going to be hard to, you'll probably be able.
Well, yeah, you really...
you have to watch it. Just look it up on YouTube.
Yeah. That and the tiny
very
shoes.
Slow. And
and very elongated, like an El Greco painting.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's Hitler, there's the Hitler cook, There's the gigantic for no good fucking reason Christian guy. Yeah, there's the apparently butt boy truckers.
Yeah.
Who go in for their comeuppance. Yeah, it's something else. And then I go to fucking Nashville the day before the total eclipse back then, a couple of years ago, that my fucking great girlfriend, we barely met.
Yeah.
I think we met in June. The eclipse was in August.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I go, by the way, I'm going to see the eclipse where it's total, the largest totality in the middle of fucking nowhere in Kentucky. You can come if you want. She goes, yeah, why not?
There you go.
So
everyone needs a partner like that in their life.
Yep. Yeah, it's just...
Well, maybe not need, but if you're looking for a partner, that's what you want.
If you're going to do shit.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't want to do shit.
Which, that's important. That's something I've learned as I've gotten older. I want someone who's going to do shit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, people like... I watched, The Voice. I watched all of them. What the fuck for?
Yeah.
What the fuck is the point?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Read or something, or go outside. Go,
Just,
see how fast you can run.
It's crazy. Like over the summer, I briefly touched on it in an episode. Like, I'm in a period of just like a new section of my life, and
there should always be new sections.
And like I'm doing what you said, not look back, but focus on where I'm going, and just enjoy the journey. As I'm on the way. And over the summer, I really got back into reading. I read a whole Charles Bukowski book. And just through reading that and through writing my own writings, I have really nourished my brain. I remember, diversion. We're talking in work one day. I used to, I'm generally a pretty sensitive person. I would like to think now I have a little bit thicker skin, but Mike used to say things to me at work, and I'd go cry and jerk off with my tears because of it. And I remember the one time he said something to me. I said, I'm a lot smarter than you think. He goes, no, you're about as smart as I think you are. And I remember being like, motherfucker, you don't fucking know me. Fuck you. And now I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I mean, whatever. Who cares?
Exactly.
But through reading and stuff, instead of becoming a potato and just watching fucking TV all the time, or sitting on what I used to do, I'd sit on my ass and watch YouTube for 8 hours after work.
Yep. Look what you next to.
Yeah.
75-inch.
Yeah.
4K, top of the line Samsung.
Yeah.
That's almost never fucking on.
Yeah. If you sit and if you nourish your brain, you're going to become more, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe you are, maybe you aren't.
Yeah.
If you don't have that drive to be that way.
Yeah.
Then it's not gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I can recommend it.
Yeah.
But look how few people do that.
Exactly.
It's just, I don't know. I guess it's too much work.
Yeah. I always used to say I don't like reading. I read too much in school, and then Mike showed me David Foster Wallace. I was like, wow, this is fun.
Consider
and now reading poetry and stuff. And Bukowski is such a weird, different poet because he's so vulgar and he's so just direct. It's
I saw a documentary with him just smacking his girlfriend or her wife at the time and screaming at her. I'm like, I don't need to see that.
Yeah. It's interesting, but so it's just chick tracks, man. If you want to read, don't read them. If you're looking or read them for entertainment.
Yeah.
If anything.
Yes. I would say it's worthwhile from an amusement point, but when I got to 200 of them and started going through them, God, it wore me out.
Yeah.
There's basically separate themes, and there's a couple I'd get a couple pages in and go, this is going to be the straight up fucking, shit. And then there's other ones where it's twisted. There's one with a serum and the doctor went to get the fucking serum, and then he was in a car crash and his son died and the doctor broke his hip, but he came with the medicine for the guy that was dying, but the devil had talked to the janitor, and the janitor told him that they're coming to fucking give him something worse than Ebola. So he smacks the syringe out of the doctor's hand, who's in a wheelchair because he crashed, that killed his son. And I went, where the fuck is any of this going?
Yeah,
at the end, nobody went to heaven. I went, whoa, this is kind of the way I look at life. Nobody goes to heaven. What the fuck?
Yeah. So he would bring these in, share them with us at work. I remember one time he gave me one, and I was like,
you took it a month to even look at it.
No. Well, the choice, that was that one, which I still have in my nightstand, I believe. No, there's another one, and I looked at it, and I was like, what the I was like, it was, the usual reaction. And then at the end of the day, as I'm walking out, they had a display table at the front of the store, and I left it there. I said, I'm going to touch someone's live with this.
There you go. Well, I don't get it. It's like the billboards.
Yeah.
They're all over.
Yeah.
Really, someone driving on the road sees, you will meet, you will meet God at call this phone number. Really?
Yeah.
How's that work? How's that gonna?
Well, maybe they want them to dial while they're on the road, so when they crash and die, and then I met God because I called that phone number. There you go. But yeah, so Chick Tracks, that was pretty early on in the time at the pod, and it's just a constant theme, or I guess item, that we would come back to.
I'm still if I'm not down on ground level anymore up here in the skybox, I'm outside of downtown, but like I said, when I saw the people on the train, and I'm nudging Mary, I'm like, if I could read Chick Tracks. I couldn't even really see at first, but then it was that rectangular format, and they look like church people.
Right into Fueled by Coffee podcast, I'll mail you a Chick Tract.
Yeah. I mean,
The 3 people that are listening, Mom and Sean and Amanda.
And your mom's not, because I swear a lot.
Yeah, maybe Skylar and John and Aaron potentially, but by this point they're like, fuck Peapod, I'm so sick of hearing this shit. So that's why we're gonna wrap this up right now. So Mike, this is the end of season 1. Very glad to have you for this 3-part series.
I enjoyed it. I mean,
we went through
I can't believe we're ending it, and it seems like we just started. I know it got kind of slack with the procedural stuff. I apologize to you people for that, but if you could just envision the majesty of Matt 323 and I running around throwing those. No, I'm just bullshitting. It was a bit much, that part, but I think the rest was pretty funny, right?
Yeah, episode 1 was great. If you haven't listened to it, I recommend going back and listening to it. We went through all of the characters that worked at Peapod. Episode 2 is a little more slogging. We went through procedures, and there was some good shit in there. There were shit boys, there were pee-pee-pee-pees.
Oh, yeah,
there was some fun stuff. The break room, Big Gator eating like a slut. And then episode 3,
eating like a slut?
Yeah, he's just shoving shit in his mouth and gobbling it.
What do you think a slut is?
A glutton. I guess I should have used the word glutton.
Yeah.
I don't know. Slut. Again, there you go. At least I didn't stutter.
A slutton.
But yeah. So,
that's someone who needs a Chick Tract. Someone who is guilty of slutiny.
Oh, shit. It's a double whammy.
Yes.
But yeah, and then episode 3, talking to Cave a little bit and had a great discussion about music. And then we kind of just had a speed round of Peapod items. But this has been awesome. Mike, I'm sure we'll be back on for a future episode where we're not going to talk about Peapod. We're going to talk about lots of other interesting shit.
Which is most of everything else in the world.
Exactly. And but yeah, I thank whoever is still listening for coming into this dark little universe of our, short portion of our lives that we were in. And Mike, thank you for making me coffee and for chatting with me and letting me into your home.
I was very happy to do it. I've been jazzed about it since you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Especially since you erased the first effort, which was crap.
We recorded a really shitty podcast.
We first of all, we made it an hour.
Was it an hour?
Yeah, we tried for an hour. We tried to make it an hour. Neither one of us. I happily cede the driver's seat to Matt now because he has this podcast persona now, which is fine. It's cool because I've listened to the other 2 that have been released so far, and I like his presence.
Well, thank you.
So I'm happy to give that up because I will, obviously, if you've been listening, race to a digression, and I shut a lot of them down.
Yeah.
So it's good to have him there to kind of keep his hand on the tiller. But the first one, we tried too hard, and
I was doing Produce Puss, and we were trying to have commercials and stuff, and it was
that's right.
It was and also at the time I'd only been there for about 6 months, so there wasn't all of this other information. Our universe was it was in the fetus stage.
It was pre Big Bang.
Yeah. So now it's like looking back or looking from the outside in, now that we're not in it anymore, there's a lot more information.
Yeah, and we'd both forgotten shit that we have a lot more crap than we did on that one.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just not as forced.
Anyway, I don't give a fuck.
But anyways, so Mike will be on for a future episode. I guarantee it. Season 2, we're going to have a lot of different guests. Instead of just doing one-on-one discussions, I'm going to do some more group discussions. I'm going to have on John's band Food Truck. I'm going to try and get my friends above the Mendoza, Pete and Aaron, on. Probably going to talk to Sean at some point. Get some, we're going to have some really, really interesting talks on season 2. But for now, this is wrapping up season 1, Fueled by Coffee podcast. and I guess just check in next time.